Hey everybody, this is Petey from the Spinner Rack, and we're going to talk about Tatiana Maslany is now the She-Hulk. How did this happen? Well, um, since we're here, this is Petey talking about the She-Hulk right now, and let's give you some history. She-Hulk was created by Stan Lee and John Buscema, and they did the first issue, and then I think it was David Anthony Kraft and who was it? Mike Rosberg. They did the rest of the series, most of the series, I believe, possibly all, not the covers, but some of them. And they did a Savage She-Hulk for 25 issues. Now they introduced some things that people don't necessarily give them credit for. Jen Walters is the human version of the She-Hulk. She is gunned down by these people that she's trying to take to court. And at the same time, Bruce Banner has come into her life after years of not seeing her. And he sees this happen, and there's no time. He has to give her a blood transfusion. And of course, since he's well known, he's a Marvel Renaissance man, he can give a transfusion. He plans it, he gives his own blood. But that gamma radiates her blood, and then she has a She Hulk. But there's a big difference. When she changes, she's just sort of a mean version of Jen. She has her same memories, sort of like the period early on for the Hulk, when I guess Hulk issue 3, sort of like that, but a little less, where she's just very upset and mad at her friend Zapper and Richard and her father. In the story, her father kind of thinks that She-Hulk has killed her daughter, and he's almost becomes the J. Jonah Jameson of the series. But there's a bunch of things that are introduced in this series that we can't forget about. So I gave you the picture you saw before was the Joe Jusko, one of the classic posters that I liked as a kid. And there's another one. So let me go back to that before we go too far away. And we had this gorgeous poster, and it's like saying, how is Tatiana going to become that? How is this going to happen? Or I could say this, right? Say it that way. But that means they'd have to get another actress for the She-Hulk. Or what are they going to do? Some digital stuff? I'm not sure. And then can I switch poster? I doubt it. Am I? No, I can't. But with that said, they have Jen Walters covered. I mean, Jen was I guess, a Buscema woman, so she was small but full figure, and she had light hair. So there's some differences, but I mean, those are cosmetic. But it's just figuring out the She-Hulk, and since you have a name actress in Tatiana, how do you make lose that persona for the She-Hulk? And one of the things that, even though I think John Byrne has incorrectly connected She-Hulk as Jen Walters likes being the She-Hulk to Roger Stern. It's something that's introduced in the Savage She-Hulk series. She has, I think, at some point, Mobius. He's going to become a Sony movie soon. I think with Jared Leto, he helps cure because she's sort of dying, and he puts this cure, and she has to turn back to Jen Walters for the cure to actually go take, to help her out. And then when she turns back to She-Hulk, she can do it whenever she wants. So she's like, this is great. And then Jen has kind of moved out the book. That's why her father's so upset. She's like, oh man, I think the She-Hulk killed my daughter. Or my daughter's just a flake now. She was mad at both of them. So it was an interesting thing. One of the things is not the Savage She-Hulk is not necessarily a classic sort of comic book. But when I read it, I did like it. I did like the She-Hulk. She was kind of a fun character. She's kind of mean and nasty, but she had a heart somewhere buried in that savage soul. So then later on, because I had some surprises for you about this, to going through the history. At some point after issue 25, it was canceled. She shows up in the Avengers, written by what was it? Written by Jim Shooter. And this one, she's very flirtatious. I mean, she was flirtatious with, I guess you could say, with Zapper, but now she's a little more aggressive as a woman. But the problem is at that period, she, she had the Hulk in the name. She was on the power level of Spider-Man, which makes no sense. And also they had Colossus and Spider-Man on the same level. So there's a little bit of treating her like a woman. If she's the Hulk, it should be like either a couple of stages, one stage below, not two stages below. So it's one of the things that's kind of, I guess, marred her besides having these, what can we say? There's some cool villains, but mostly lame. Like one is an elephant one, but the stories are still sort of interesting. So I would say go check it out. And there's one thing that people always complain about online is that why does the She-Hulk sunbathe? If you look at the Savage She-Hulk, when she's all cured and she's like, not cured, but she's, even tempered about, she wants to be She-Hulk more than often. She goes and gets some clothes, kind of aggressive, tears off the sleeves and says, going out She-Hulk style, pays for it. And she goes out to get some sun. This is just something that Jen Walters likes to do. And it doesn't matter that your skin doesn't tan. You just want to go out and soak some rays, get some vitamin D. It's just something that people do. Maybe she doesn't feel it, or maybe who knows? It's just something that she wants to do because there's many, and you'll see what I'll show you. It's coming up. I'm still talking about the Avengers. So in the Avengers, she becomes a mainstay in the Avengers. She's Roger Stern takes over. He's I can't think of, but he plays more to what you've already seen with Jim Shooter. And she was aggressive. She becomes a mainstay of the team. I think at some point, Thor. There's always sort of two strong people in the book. So Thor is in there at one point, and then Hercules and her are in the book at the same time, I think. Where is she? No, around at that point, at some point, there's Secret Wars happens, right? So Secret Wars happens, and Jim Shooter says, I need a change in all your books. Has some effect happen from Secret Wars. And John Byrne says, I need She-Hulk to join the Fantastic Four. So in this graphic novel, this is well into her time being in the Fantastic Four. So you see her in this book, she's with Reed Richards, and this is the climax to this story. You can't say, I'm pretty sure you can't read it, but it's it's basically you can see what Reed said. So, but this is a decent, a lot of fun graphic novel. This, I think he took this from a bodybuilder, and I think there's a couple pieces here, like the bodybuilder body and the face from something else to make this pencil sort of drawing. And this Byrne writer and art and inker Kim DeMolder. And this is a classic one because I think Herb Trimp had done the falling of destroying the helicarrier, and this one we get to see it. It might be even better than when you see it in the Avengers movie. There's like planes falling. There's a lot of cool stuff in here. So, but this carries on the fun that was in the Fantastic Four. So, I think She-Hulk was in the Fantastic Four from, was it 265 to around 300, a little after 300 she leaves. So that's a good, decent time, a replacement for the thing that was not sort of like unceremoniously dumped. She was sort of a mainstay for the team for a little while. She had a classic costume. I don't have it here regretfully. Oh, I did. I did show you that page that it had the outfit when you got Byrne on the back and the anchor and I think the colors. But and the helicarrier is going down. So that doesn't give you the plot, but it shows you sort of the action. So at some point, Byrne moved on and did a bunch of things, did some Superman and stuff like that after the Fantastic Four. And he came back to Marvel. Well, before he left Superman, came back to Marvel on a book called Starbrand. And then when he was fully left DC, they asked him, what do you want to do? He got more, besides Starbrand, they asked him to do the West Coast Avengers, and he later took on the regular Avengers title, took on Wolverine, did some fill-ins on X. Well, his fill-ins all around. But at the same time, I think it was Mark Grunwald said, what about doing a She-Hulk series? So then Byrne's pitch to this was make it different. What if she knows she's in a comic book? So this is the #1 issue. It also, I have it sealed. I should open it. Obviously, this tape has been opened many a times. I've read it many a times. But with that said, besides it being a fun issue, there's something. I guess it's not in here. I did that for nothing. All right. So I got a bunch of She-Hulk comic books here. I'm going to just go through the covers. If there's anything, but one thing you've noticed is that you haven't seen Jen Walters yet. And she's kind of not written out of the Savage She-Hulk series. And she shows up in the Fantastic Four and Avengers for maybe 1 or 2 issues. But just like the Hulk, the character like the She-Hulk kind of takes over. And it's the cooler character. So obviously Byrne sort of writes to that and has some real dramatic stuff going on with these wacky villains. And this one should be it. This one should be it. I'm gonna have to open this one up too. I'm sorry, guys. Seeing this, She-Hulk and Spider-Man. Todd McFarlane, Byrne was a fan. And here we go. So in here, we have a letter, and it's by none other than Chris Claremont. So one of the great and guilty pleasures about working in the industry is that you get to see work before it's published. Another is to see great work from someone whose work you've enjoyed and respected for years. Both pleasures apply to John Byrne's She-Hulk. I got to cheat. I've seen the first 3 issues. They're fun. Some of the most enjoyable stories John has crafted. As much as a delight to read it as I hope they were fun for him to write and draw. Can't wait to see what happens next. Chris Claremont. So that's a cool fact to go to the whole beef between them, because not only him writing it in, most of the comic creators handle their own letter pages. So Byrne would be the one to pick that letter. So, some more She-Hulk on the space, fighting the cosmic teddy bear, Santa Claus. But then something happened. Byrne was pushed off. And this was a top 10 book up until the X crossovers and the Atlantis Attacks annual. It was a title that was moving up. And then ultimately, there was a rift between John Byrne and the editor, Bobby Chase. John Byrne was let go, and then the book plummeted. And at some point, Renee Whittasatter, you can see her at the Comic-Con. She's usually with, who was it? She's with Michael Golden, one of the classic, he's done some classic She-Hulk covers too. She was editor, and they say that Mike Zeck said to her, what you should do is get Byrne back. So she got Byrne back. And look at that. So, I did buy the She-Hulk in between this period, and they had some nice covers by Dale Keough, and it was written by Steve Gerber. They had Brian Hitch drawn some of this. So there was some cool stuff. I still checked it out. It wasn't up to what Byrne was doing, but it was still fun. But then this made it even better, right? So Byrne's back, he wanted to put 9. Then we get to a lot of the cover blurs. So just to give you an idea that I think this gag came before the other, I think another actor playing to this. So he's one of the first spoofs of Demi Moore picture. And then my favorite is She-Hulk versus the X-Human. Like that is one of the greatest names ever. And the X-Human show up at the end of this, I think. No, this is the cover. This is the second issue, right? So this has a double splash page. Trying to remember. You got this, the Dead X-Men. You didn't get it. All right. And then Jen makes an appearance on the cover. Look at that. It's almost a Howard Chaykin thing. And this is, I think, a sequel to the Santa Claus story. But then you get her father in here, and he hasn't thrown out everything from the She-Hulk. The characters from the Savage She-Hulk show up in here. Zapper and Richard, they show up. Her father shows up. And Zapper has gotten an updated look. It's all cleaned up, but of course he's got a girl that looks just like she. Right? This is a really nice issue. Every one of these are fun. Obviously, there's more gags, but these guys aren't showing up in the book. And then here. Right now, we haven't seen anything besides, well, this is what you're going to get when you get the Tatiana. This is what she kind of is going to be. Well, I guess the size is right? That's when the size would be right. The hair just be a little bit lighter. Maybe we can get it. She's done different color hair and all that stuff. So that's cool. This is where the book takes off. The book decides it's going to be the most dynamic book on the stands that nobody's buying, right? It wasn't setting the world on fire, but Burns using Dual Shade was the first book that Marvel really kind of printed on good paper for this stuff, and it's just really dynamic. So maybe the TV show will have a little of this. They had them having an all-out brawl. Maybe we could look out and see just sort of dynamics. But see, we haven't seen Jen Walters in a while, right? And then, of course, classic thing pictures. Then we got this classic here. She-Hulk jumping rope. In trouble with Mars for that one. And then in space with the space truckers. Now, this would be great if they somehow worked into that aspect of the She-Hulk comic of having the sort of wacky villains that are in this book to keep it fun. Instead of doing the, well, this one, I don't know if I can do this. I think the end. Because this is the Cosmic Teddy Bear, like that villain. Oh, shoot. Look at this. Look at all this stuff. Oh no, at the end, this one, another gag. Chris Clement's not going to like this one. And you've seen all of the, next to nothing on, we have this cover. So, oh yeah, go back. So I still got you here. And obviously you've seen She-Hulk strip nude and all this other stuff, or close to nude. We have to go to this, back to this issue. And then one of the gags that's also in here that her boyfriend, Wyatt, takes his shirt off and she's like checking him out, right? So it's just a fun thing. So if anyone gets bothered by, oh, look, she's in next to nothing. But there's always a challenge in a John Byrne book. So, while She-Hulk's been having a ton of fun, what happens? She morphs bodies with her friend Wheezy. Wheezy becomes, she becomes a new She-Hulk. And I was like, I was enjoying this book so much, I didn't think that Byrne was going to do anything that got me upset. And then I found out it's permanent. Like the thing is permanent. So then, of course, Wheezy takes over, but everyone just calls her She-Hulk. and she's obviously she was a good superhero before that, so she's having just as much fun and just as solid as a hero. So Reed says, no, it's incorrect. It's like you can change back at any time you want. It's just that Wheezy is enjoying it. So it finally comes to a head, and it ties into the original She-Hulk series and the present. And of course, I don't have 50th. I wish I had a 50th right there. That's going through the She-Hulk thing. Then I think it went on for another 10 issues. It had the issue 51. That was an amazing. Had some amazing art in it. It changed over that. I don't think the book was as strong, but it was. I guess that's 5 years of a She-Hulk title. That almost, if it, like, maybe if they hadn't pushed Burnout, it would have been a stronger book by the time someone else took it over. So post that point, I think Dan Slott had a She-Hulk mini. There was a She-Hulk and thing, which is I think was a Bride by Brian Hitch was a fun thing. So I guess we have to wait to see. And I think they've already did the joke about Tatiana being small, but that's giving you a little overview of the She-Hulk and some comics that you might want to go out and get and check out, and posters that you can go out and get. And hopefully we'll see how this She-Hulk series plays out. All right, Spinner Rack out.